Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel if you're watching this. For those listening, welcome back to my podcast. If you're here for the first time, hi, my name is Helena. So glad that you're here. I wanted to talk about confidence. How do we go through life with more grace and at the same time are going after the thing that ignites us the most? Because I feel like oftentimes if I'm starting my own business, I'm living my purpose and I want to reach my full potential, like whatever that thing is that you're finally allowing yourself to go after. How'd you go after that with more self confidence in what we're trying to do and more trust in ourselves? Because here's the thing, before I moved to LA, I had an extremely good year in 2021. I had done so much work on myself during the pandemic. I was in a place where I felt grounded. I felt beautiful. My energy was like literally, I had leveled up my life. I felt good. I felt confident about what I was doing. I felt confident about the people that I was with. I felt confident about the relationships that I was attracting. And I truly feel like I attracted and manifested the LA opportunity. I wanted to be in a creative melting pot. And the whole transition to LA happened so smoothly. Like, you don't, like, it was so freaking smooth. Like, I knew I was going to move to LA and would need a car. And I was like, well, I'll just need like 20K or something for this car just to get me going. Next thing you know, I've like manifested 20K. Anyway, things were just landing in my lap. So here I was sitting there and being like, oh my God, I have figured it out. I have figured out how to manifest my life. I have figured out the energetic space that I need to live from to basically take off. Like, by trauma, by struggle, by all of these things that I was dealing with throughout my 20s, throughout my teens. Like, I was struggling in so much pain, so much self-doubt. And I get to LA and I'd taken a job that was not super aligned with what I really wanted to do. It was just more like, that'll get me in the door. I'll figure it out from there on. And the figuring out has remained a figuring out. It's just been like, oh my God, I feel like all the lessons that I learned, all that good stuff, all the things that I know how to do, like, just left. And I'm just like, wow, I'm starting from scratch. And all that greatness, all the confidence, all the groundedness, all the lack of anxiety and stuff that I was able to let go was right back here. The low self esteem, the self doubt, the anxiety, the sleepless nights. Like, at one point last year, I was just like, what is going on? Why do I not know how to manage? And I had to go in and be like, well, the set of challenges are bigger. And now transitioning into doing my podcast full time, like, February started off strong. And then I don't know how many times I woke up in March just thinking to myself, wow, you're freaking crazy. The percentage of creators that are successful, I think it's under under 5% if I remember correctly. And I was like, "Wow, you're crazy. What makes you think that you're going to be successful?" Number 1, that self-talk is so freaking toxic. It's just so toxic. But so anyway, that's what I really want to talk about is like, how do you preserve self-confidence and trust in yourself? Because I refuse that this be a torturous experience. I don't believe that life has to be anxiety. I don't feel like we can't live up to our potential, but that the price of that is anxiety. I refuse to accept that. There has to be a path where we can be entrepreneurs, where we can be creative people, where we can be artists, where we can be self employed and not have existential crises every morning when we get up. And I was having this conversation actually the other day with a friend who's starting her own business as well. And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of doing like an episode on confidence. And she's like, I really don't want to hear the whole, like, this is how you become confident and you have to fake it till you make it. We just started laughing because it's like, it's true. Like, you do have to fake it till you make it. And I definitely dress to feel good about myself. I like to feel put together. For me, it's like a certain level of self respect. But I was telling her, I was like, "Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about confidence, that it's not static. It's not like one day you're confident and then the rest of your life you're confident. Like, the day you're confident is the day you lose it. Because the day you're confident, you're going to be confident enough to take that next step, and then you're going to push yourself into new waters, and then you're going to lose your confidence again. So confidence is always going to be a challenge and a work in progress for those of us that are just really driven and ambitious and want to do something in the world. And my friend was like, I would love to hear how you go through your week when you're having a rough week. So, what I need to give myself to find confidence, to trust myself, to reconnect to that version that I was in 2021, who just felt like I can manifest everything in life. I'm definitely reconnecting to that centeredness within myself, to that trust within myself. What I mean by trust when I'm going through something is the trust that everything is going to be okay. Everything is happening best case scenario. I do trust the universe, this force that is greater than us, that has my back. And everything that hasn't worked up until now in my life has been a blessing in disguise. That mindset you can't always have, especially when you're really going through it and you just wake up and it's like the day's shit. You're full of anxiety in your body. Like, the word that comes to mind is the French word insupportable. Like, it just becomes unbearable, basically. That's the word, that's the translation. What do you do on those days to have confidence, to believe in yourself, to have trust, and to do the hard thing? I want to start off with this. Like, I don't talk about this very much, but like, we maybe have talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but like, I used to have a really bad relationship with food. It's gotten so much better. Like, the more I'm in touch with my emotions, the less emotional eating I'm doing, and the more I'm working on my self-love, the more I can forgive myself when I eat like a trash panda and I'm just like eating food that doesn't love me back. That happened last night, matter of fact, just because I was PMSing and I was just like, you know what? It's one of those weeks. Like, it's fine. Like, a few years ago, I'd have like beaten myself up over it and just being like, here, you see, you don't commit to yourself. You don't stick to your word. Like, this is important. Like, da 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 da. But anyway, what I want to connect to is that quality food. Like, there's a direct link from your gut to your brain. And if you're not eating quality food, if you're not eating a lot of greens, vegetables, if your diet consists of high processed foods, a lot of carbohydrates, your gut bacteria is not going to be very healthy. You're going to have stomach issues. You're going to have all sorts of health issues down the line. But at least in the present moment, you're not going to have great digestion. So if your gut isn't happy ultimately, and I don't remember the book that I think, like Darm mit Charm, it's like a German book. Like, this book, the one thing that stuck with me is she's a doctor and she was talking about if your stomach is not happy, it makes you feel more depressed. So it ultimately has a direct impact on your happiness and you're not going to feel very confident about yourself. So for me, extreme performance requires extreme self-care. And food is just like a non-negotiable. Like, yes, you can snack every now and then, but like 80 to 90% of your diet has to be healthy. It has to be fresh. Prepare, show up for yourself. And if you don't like preparing, can you make it fun? Like, I can go until 3 o'clock and forget to eat because I'm just working. And I start eating not such great things because I had been pushing all day and I hadn't been eating enough and hadn't been eating the right things. So then you go to the vending machine or you go to whatever, or you start eating not such great foods. Like, prepare, eat foods that love you back, eat veggies, high quality food. Like, inform yourself. I'm not a doctor, but like, quality food is just a non negotiable. It's part of It's part of high performance. If you want to be feeling good about yourself and confident in what you're doing, you need high quality food, period. Quality people. When you're trying something new, like you're going after that dream job, or you're starting that new project, you're starting your new business, you need people around you that are going to lift you up. And you don't need people around you that are just going to hate and shit on everything that you're doing. The crazy thing is that they typically mean really well, because they're just afraid for you. And so they can be like, "Oh my God, but have you thought of this? And have you thought of this? And have you thought of this?" And so it's like when something is in its infant stages, and then someone's just asking really critical questions that are not really relevant to that stage, maybe relevant to further down when it's more matured idea. But in that initial stage, you just need a lot of support. And so you want to surround yourself with people who actually understand what you're going through, who've been through it, who will will be there with you. That's a big one for me right now, that I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of weeding out happening. You need quality people in your life. That's just period. If you're going through a really difficult week and you want to feel confident about yourself, you want to ask yourself, how am I connecting to myself? I find that when I go all in and I completely forget about myself, that's when the anxiety starts to appear, that's when the self-doubt, the exhaustion is, because I'm pushing too hard. The divine timing that happens in life, I truly, truly believe in. Like, if we're in a rush, like, I don't know how many times in my corporate job did I rush. I rushed situations, I rushed people, I rushed projects, because I wanted to be somewhere. No, this has to happen right now. And it's like, no, it doesn't. Because when you get there and people aren't ready, management isn't ready, the organization isn't ready, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you rushing? There's no rush. Where are you trying to be? You're trying to rush something onto the market. Your customer's not ready. Your partners aren't ready. I've really learned in the last year, especially, I can be very forceful with my energy, and I can be also very scattered, that I want to pursue a lot of different things with a lot of force. And last year's challenges have really taken the tempo out of a lot of things. And it's forced me to slow down. And I didn't like it. I was uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable in certain situations sometimes last year. I was just like, what the hell? I am so losing at life because everything is moving so slowly. Well, guess what? When you move more slowly, you can be way more discerning. And when you're going through your week and you feel yourself lacking in confidence, oh my God, self-doubt here, and I don't feel like I'm doing enough, and this is just not working, and why aren't the customers jumping onto my products? Slow down. Slow down. Slow your thoughts, slow your body. What's happening right now? Do you really think you can, number one, solve all of these problems right now? For me, typically, when I notice myself, when that's the talking that's happening, and it's 3 p.m., I'm like, oh yeah, I'm tired. And I mentally already have a checklist. I'm like, oh, have I eaten yet? When's the last time I had some water? Have I even been outside yet? Have I taken a breath of air? Have I exercised yet? Or am I leaving all of those needs? Am I pushing that to the end of the day? Have I connected to myself? How do I feel today? Have I played? Have I had joy? How am I connecting? Am I living and doing things from a place of deep intention and purpose? Or am I just pushing aggressively, forcefully in meetings? I had one leader one time. I really didn't like this leader, but he said one valuable thing to me. And he said, the first thing you do when you enter a meeting, you sit down. And that stuck with me because we enter meetings, we start talking over one another, we start talking at each other. We get up, we walk around, we're on our phones, we're at our laptops. No, you enter a room, you sit down, you connect with yourself. Who's here? Who's literally here? Who's in the room? And who's here with me? What parts are showing up? Am I afraid? Am I nervous? Am I jittery? Why am I jittery? Why am I restless? Why? And just connect and acknowledge those parts. Sometimes what I used to do when I was like in remote meetings and I would feel myself get extremely anxious because I knew what, you know, whatever later in the day I had to like pitch something to management. And so the entire day I was just like nervous. And every time something popped up, I would write down that emotion and then I would write down where it came from. And just like the labeling and the acknowledging of it, just like, just breathe it out. Like literally. Anxiety, and this is something that I learned and I have to keep telling myself, but anxiety is in the body. Nervousness is in the body. It's not in your thoughts. You can't tell yourself, like, stop doing this, stop doing that. You have to close the loop, right? And so, closing the loop for me, manage your energies, your emotions, you write them down, you exercise, you get up, you walk around, you move your body, you get into sunshine. Like, you need practices to connect to yourself, to stay connected to yourself. You enter a meeting, you enter a room, and you sit down first. You connect to your breath. What's going on? Who's here? Who's with me? What's going on inside? Like that's literally how I manage myself. I have practices that are non-negotiables that I do every day, and I have practices that I do when I feel overwhelmed, and they're religious. Like my morning routine is I get up, I meditate, or I get up and I do my makeup and then I meditate depending on how I feel in my head. Sometimes I just need to be like a little bit of a human first and put on my makeup and then I meditate. Check in with my partner, make coffee. I'm trying to do a better job at eating breakfast. I don't do that every day. I do know that it is better to have some protein before in your gut before you have coffee for cortisol reasons. Like if you have coffee on an empty stomach, it'll raise your cortisol levels. So it'll raise your stress levels. So that's something that I do. And then when I start working, I need to give myself a break every hour. And if I'm doing very focused work for a few hours, over lunch, I make a point to like eat and then go for a little walk. Like I have to. And what I'm trying to implement right now is to go to the gym over lunch because it just really gives me a new sense of energy. Like I just feel like the day can start all over again. And then in the afternoon, depending like if I have meetings, if I have stressful conversations, or if I have like whatever it is that I'm doing, again, I have breaks and then mindful connections to myself. And it can be the simple fact of going to refill your water and imagine you're pulling water up through your body, like through your spine. You just like and you hold your breath for 6 seconds, 4 to 6 seconds. And if you do that, that'll calm your nervous system. Another thing that I like to do on my walks is put on music that I really like and I'll sing along with it. Like apparently singing vibrates your, don't quote me on this, but I don't remember what the nerve is called, but the vagus nerve. And so that vibrates that, which calms the nervous system. So you can hum, you can sing. My meditations have humming in them. So that just really soothes me in my body, helps me regulate my nervous system. A red flag for how you're relating to yourself is whenever you're rushing. Like, why are you rushing? If you're rushing, you know how you're so disconnected from your like feminine sensual energy and how you can feel so scattered and frantic and like that Barbie meme that like her makeup is smudged and like her hair is going all over the place and her eyes are like twisted and stuff like that. Like when I'm rushing, I that's what I feel like I look like. When I slow down and I take my time to finish a sentence and I expect others to listen to me and I'm grounded and I'm centered in that goodness and I don't feel rushed because everything happens in divine timing, in divine timely order. That's when I feel most connected to myself, to my strength, to my femininity, to the place, that center from where I can make conscious decisions. Like I'm connected to myself. I'm connected to my emotional body. I'm respecting myself. I'm respecting my needs. I'm not constantly bypassing my bodily needs. I'm not waiting or putting off, oh, I'm thirsty or eating. Like when I can respect myself and I can respect my body and I respect my emotions, that's when I can also respect my mind and whatever needs to come through me. That's when I respect myself, I respect you, you know? That's that groundedness is when you can like breathe, slow down. And so whenever I'm in that place of rush, I know I'm out of alignment with myself. I know I'm acting from a place of ego. Oh shit, I have to do that, I have to do this. Like, no, you don't. We're here now. Maybe give yourself more time. Be more realistic with your schedule. And then, if you're more realistic about what you can do in an hour, maybe you're more realistic about how much time you can give others. And so you're not in this constant place of rush and having to do this and do that and do this. Like when you slow down, you become more discerning of how you use your time, more discerning of like how you give your time, more discerning about what actually matters. What matters? Staying connected, right? Because when you're connected to yourself, that's when you can make decisions from a deep place of purpose. You mean it, and you're not just saying something and you don't even know where it's coming from. And that's what slowing down gives you. It gives you that reflection, the time, it gives you the authority over yourself, the self respect. And that's what true confidence is, connecting to yourself in high quality, which allows others to connect with you in high quality. And so again, coming back to like what foods are you giving yourself? What people are you surrounding yourself with? What relationships are you nurturing? All of these things have to be high quality. Why? Because you respect yourself and you respect others, and you're just going to be in a relationship with someone else if they meet you there. And that's when you're actually productive, because you're tuning in, you're reading the room, you're sensing the situation, and you're not just react. No, you are managing your response and you're fully aware of it. A few things that I'm actually trying, and I have noticed this, like I have been paying way more attention to how I feel during my cycle. So I know, for example, the week before my period, I'm just like super low self esteem, super low self confidence, tired, I'm exhausted, I'm irritable. And so I know to give myself more grace and forgiveness during that period. And then the week after my period, I'm like my masculine energy is at an all-time high. Like I can move mountains. It's ridiculous. And so I know that I'm not in my best state before or after, because like it's good to make decisions from a place of confidence and from a place of empowerment, but like if you're at your highest and you're at your lowest, like that's not your average. You know what I mean? Like when you make commitments and when you're feeling your best and then you regret it later down the line, that's what I'm talking about. So that's something I want to look into, is when should I be making decisions? I also would love to be aligning my projects to the moon cycle. So I just experienced that right now. So new beginnings, new moon, and fruition, completion at a full moon. Like I just did this week, and it felt very aligned. Like it was because I also, my cycle is also aligned to the moon phases. I would really love for all of that to be just like really well aligned. And I'm fully aware that when you're in a regular job, you can't do that. You can't align your projects to the moon. I'm just trying to imagine saying that in a meeting, like, okay, maybe guys, we should start this during a new moon. Everyone's going to be like, okay, this lady's lost her marbles. Like, at least getting more awareness of like moods and how I'm maneuvering during the moon phases and during my own cycles, so that I can work with my cycle and work with the moon. Because I mean, the moon influences our oceans and my cycles. So, like, obviously, it's going to influence my life. What I'm also experimenting at the moment is introducing more play, because when I'm playing, that activates my creativity. I'm having fun. And so finding ways to introduce more play into my life is a big one. Because when I'm not playing, I just get so serious and so boring and stressed out. It's like the worst side of me. I just don't like it. I just really want to emphasize like the things that I mentioned, they all center around awareness and how you're cultivating awareness throughout the day. Do something for yourself at least once a day. Connect to yourself, acknowledge yourself. If you're pedal to the metal all day long, you're going to be out of balance. And the goal is to be in balance. Catch yourself when you're rushing. That's how I would summarize this episode in a nutshell. And with that, if you have any additional questions for me that you would like to go over with me, let me know. So thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you so much for sharing and liking and following me. Any support, every like, every follow, every repost that I get, it just amplifies it and just helps me get the word out there. And I'm trying to reach as many ears and eyeballs as possible. And with that, thank you so much for being here. And until next time. Mwah.